Alright, sorry about that. Had to switch machines.
Problem. You said you were okay with that. I imagine you might be recording as well, but you're okay if I record as well?
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've got a digital audio workstation in the background. I use it mainly for music. I understand you make music as well. I saw some stuff that you're using.
I make music, yeah, it's a cathartic release. You know, because there's people like Kaczynski and Varnell, etc., just the most notorious, that think it's acceptable to kill people that are also victims of the system for how they think society or the planet should be. You know? And so you have to have a release. We all get angry. We all rage. You know.
Absolutely. I'm curious about learn a bit more about why you reached out. I know that initially you were happy, kind of, or satisfied kind of speaking through your written work, if that makes sense. You know, you sent me the links to your book, which I really appreciate. I still haven't read them in their entirety. I've been working more on another case, kind of like Martin. But I'm curious if you'd like to update me. And before switching up tactics, I was reading the message you sent, and you mentioned the Blitz docket, and then you referenced your letter to humans, and you might not get to read out the docket to the defendant. Is there anything you'd like to say about that current case, kind of why you reached out, what the status is, and the letter you wrote to Judge Napoli, anything along those lines?
Well, the Suits and Boots have been at social domination, division, and control for a lot longer than any of us have been here. And whenever people have valid grievance against, you know, either the system, its representatives, or its enforcers, they have either centuries old, or they can just create new wording to where they can excuse members of their organization. You know, they can make it to where it's always something unrelated. Like with the Napoli thing, they said they sent me something that they didn't, and then they're like, "Oh, you got this deadline now." And it's like, what? A decision had already been made, and I'm like trying to figure out what the status is. You know, it's like, what the fuck? It's just, it's socially dirty. And with my current case, I filed a civil suit because Maine State Forensics said I made calls that I didn't make. You know, I record 24/7. I was doing other things at that time. I was even around a police officer at one point. But the civil suit was dismissed because the feds have a thing called mandatory abstention, which is if it interferes with state interest, if it interferes with their fucking precious Ponzi scheme economy, then individual social rights are tertiary after revenue and control. Like, nothing is more important to Suits and Boots than their precious fucking system. You know? And as far as what my current case is for, the first speeding ticket was in 1904. It doesn't stop speeding. It just generates revenue for the state. Now, this doesn't apply to every single state, but Maine, what they do is they put it all into a general fund, and after it passes through the general fund, then it goes to Maine State Police, right? And they don't use that to just hire more of themselves, you know, or get new equipment. They use it to create new positions, so expanding their gang, right? Slowly a police state constructed. Well, the media says, oh, well, only 6% goes to court stuff, you know, which is along the lines of what Noam Chomsky is talking about, manufacturing consent, because it's like, oh, okay, this is good for me, so I'll accept that. Master said it's good, you know, and behind this traffic extortion to fund themselves, they are absolutely willing to do daily beat and kill people behind these revenue generating policies, right? Police are bitch hounds of politicians and corporate executives. They are nothing more than tools of division. They are paperwork enforcers, and they do so with violence. They've chosen corporations and politicians. So who is going to there are a lot of people who are out there filming police, right? They call themselves auditors. But what they do is they go instigate shit. Like, they'll stand outside a police station and fucking walk around like that's not gonna, you know, be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Because if somebody's outside my residence, I'm out there immediately, like, what are you doing? And then they play the victim. But it's like, you can't do that. Like, you have to catch them extorting, beating, oppressing others, you know. And so I've been filming police for years. That is the first time that a fucking nationalist militant enforcer took me to jail for filming. And I resisted fucking hard.
Yeah, what were you, from what I understand, I saw some news accounts and just some posts you made on social media. Are you mainly kind of intervening when you see police?
No.
The traffic stops or not well,
if they get physical with the person and the person didn't like I will intervene. But as far as they are less likely to steal wages from somebody if somebody's on them with a camera, you know, because it's like, damn, I don't want to be a piece of shit. Some of them, though, they're super proud, indoctrinated. They're like, I'm just doing my job. You guys call me a hero. You know, it's like, what the fuck, dude? You have absolutely no social awareness. So, yeah.
And I appreciate that. You know, I feel that today I've been trying to read, you know, over the years a lot about the history of policing, and I feel like that class analysis that you have of it, for lack of better terms, with just like a revenue transfer system, basically.
Yeah, if you see this, there's a bowl of cash right there.
Yeah,
it's a bowl of cash, the leaves. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just, because it's often, you know, not that it's not an issue, but the whole issue of, you know, the sort of racist nature of policing is a factor, but I think that class aspect, which is fundamentally, in my view, what it's about, just gets lost. I really appreciate you getting into that. Is there anything else you want to say about your T-shirt? I think I saw you post that image. I didn't know you had a T-shirt. But
no, I wear it to court. I wear it to court, and I make sure that the palace guards know where they stand. I'm like, hey, I have you on my shirt. You know, proud of yourself, etc. And then on the back, I have another symbolism of police duties, which is surrounding the rich people feasting. And then, of course, it has the current members of society with their stupid flag song hand salute shit, reminiscent of, you know, both fascist and communist regimes throughout history. You know, flag fucking symbolism worship.
Yeah, what you're saying, I've been reading this book recently by a guy named Gustavus Myers. It's about like 100 years old. Have you ever come across him in your research? I just think I'll send you a link if you want. He wrote a book, it's called The Origins of American Wealth. He goes through each, you know, famous family. I mean, I'm still in the sort of early sections of the book, so he hasn't even gotten to like the Guggenheims yet or anything. But again and again, it's just like how it's just organized crime.
Yeah.
It's just socially, you know, valid organized crime. You know, it's fraud, and they're all just kind of in on it together. I'll send you a link.
They just eliminate competition. That's all the state does. They just eliminate competition. Like, they took over the numbers racket, state lotto, kidnapping. Like, they should be indicted. The state should be indicted under its own RICO Act. If I had any respect for its fucking competition eliminating and working class dominating wording, you know, they would be indicted under their own RICO Act because they fit every fucking element. You know, like kidnapping. When you take somebody to jail for an arbitrary infraction and then you don't release them unless they can pay, that's fucking kidnapping. They call it bail, you know what I'm saying, but it's kidnap for ransom. You know, extortion, traffic, you know, and if you read the statutes for almost any state, traffic tickets fit that statute for extortion. You know, it's sick. And they just, we wear suits, so, you know, we present this image of, you know, civility and compassion and all that. And it's like, it's sickening and it's infuriating.
Actually, I hadn't thought of it in these terms, but a few years ago, I was, speeding, going about the same, you know, speed as anybody out here in Oklahoma, Wagoner County. Got pulled over, you know, the ticket was a few $100, but even, I mean, what separates that from, it was just sort of prolonged drawn out highway robbery, if you want to make
Yeah,
case.
that's exactly what it is.
I didn't pay in that moment, but the effect was the same.
Hey, you did this thing, so now we have permission.
Yeah.
As to the point, calling police on somebody is essentially saying, Master, will you please come exploit, beat, or kill this person that I have social strife with? So it's like every increment and form of social strife, the state gets some form of fucking revenue or control from it. Like, they don't give a fuck if the kids are cared for. They get a transaction from every single child support payment. It's just, it isn't. I wish Varnell and Kaczynski and people like them did not let their frustration push them to hurt other people, because, like, Varnell is not dumb. Kaczynski, fucking, I know I keep mentioning him, but it's just because it's along the domestic terrorism lines. It's the views on the corporate construct and society, the socio-political aspects around it, he's accurate in many things, but no matter how fucking, you can't fucking hurt people. You can't just go overtly say, I'm gonna go commit this act of violence and I'm using this as justification. Like, I know Mandela did it and then became president, and actually that's one of my guys, because that's in fact where I said I'm going to read the doc of the defendant. The United States doesn't have that shit, but it's essentially the same thing. But if they just would not, they could have done so much good for society and existence, were they not willing to abandon their conscience and be willing to hurt people that, are also conditioned by the fucking system.
Yeah, I remember reading that back, it was, I think, around 2016, right around the time that Trump was elected, you and Varnell and a few other folks, I think the last name was Borges, maybe it was like Thomas. Yeah. And you had a plan to go to Missouri. Is there anything you'd like to tell me about that? Because I know that Varnell was a bit, maybe not totally in sync with that, and I know it didn't pan out, but is there, that from what I remember, is around the time you started to really get to know Varnell. Is there anything you'd like to say about that, kind of like initial interaction with him when you wanted to just kind of get more off the grid or establish kind of an autonomous community? Anything you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, well, just as with, these here forefathers come over here in this Native American genocide, and they didn't want fucking freedom. They were just tired of being on bottom. They wanted to be on top. So Borges and his family, they wanted to do the same shit. They're like, hey, we're going to get all this land and y'all can come work for it. It's like, what the fuck? Feudalism, fucking serfdom shit. Like, you just want to be on top. That's all it is. You don't want to get away from money. You don't want to get away from, your comfort, excess comforts and conveniences. You just are tired of being on bottom. And then that's when Varnell was like, yeah, that's right. That makes sense. Da, da, da. So, yeah, I don't like people that try to exploit or hurt others, and that's exactly what they were doing, is looking to exploit others, use them as the cheap labor.
That makes sense. And that, I know that didn't, and you went to New Mexico not long after that, is that correct?
Yeah.
You went to Carson National Forest, is that correct?
I saved all of my shit, all of my conversations, and then because I didn't know for sure what the outcome would be of anything, but like when you talk about, you're ready to bomb some shit, it's like, okay, well, just by being engaged in the conversation, I'm a party, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I didn't want to have anything to do with him doing that. I'm not going to go kill him, because as I said, even no matter how I think the world should be, I can't go kill people because I don't know for sure what he's going to do or what he has done. So I'm just like, fuck it, get rid of all of my shit, and went to Mexico, New Mexico. But I will say that was shortly after. All right, I was on federal probation, and there's a place in Oklahoma City called Cornerstone Counseling, and that's who the feds have a contract with, I guess they won the bid. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll fuck with these people for the cheapest. And they, so I go there, and what happened is they took this medication that I've been on called gabapentin, and it was like in the thousands milligrams daily, and within like a 2-month period, it shot it up to like 5,000. You know what I'm saying? And that's a serious chemical. And to this day, I can't fucking get rid of it. It's like these fucking horse pills. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't have it, I feel like I'm going to die. You know? And that's nothing that I want in my system. But I won't be able to function without it. You know? And I think...
That's a lot. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying I think that dependency is partly why I was so willing to abandon everything, but also why I was so willing to come back is because I know, like, if I'm just gonna lay there and just get fucking eaten by something, what the fuck, that's pointless. And does nothing to help myself or others. So, yeah.
No, they don't make sense. Can you tell me, if you're comfortable, a little bit more about what the gabapentin is for? I'm not super familiar with that.
PTSD. They started me on that in 2008 for PTSD. Normally it's for nerve pain, etc., neuropathy. But they're like, oh, it helps with PTSD. So now I'm addicted to it, but if I don't have it, I get the withdrawals as if like the nerve pain is worse than had I nerve pain and were withdrawing. If that makes sense.
It does.
I said that
right. The kind of cycles that folks get into through. Well, I mean, we're very. I'm on antidepressants and anxiety stuff right now, and I've read about people's experiences where you sort of get involved with those medicines to help with things, but then it becomes its own kind of cycle where withdrawing from that and exacerbate the symptoms and all that. Are you comfortable talking about what the source of your trauma was? I mean, you mentioned having PTSD. Is there anything you'd like to share about? What the post trauma was? What was the trauma that you were
childhood? It's like there's not really much unique about it except for the individuals that were involved, etc. But it's just your typical physical, verbal, sexual abuse. My mother's fucking chemical dependencies overrode her parental anything. And she chose boyfriends over the children, etc.
I mean, even if it's a familiar story to a lot of people, I don't think that mitigates the pain at all. It sounds like I don't know, very, very difficult.
Yeah, but I have issue with people that make, along with their nation, their gender, their fucking religion, I have problem with people that make their pain or their trauma their identity.
That makes sense.
So that's why I'm like, I hedge it by saying, like, hey, or I preface it, hey, I'm not saying, like, oh, can I get some tears? It's like, hey, just this is what happened,
That's valid. That makes sense, and I appreciate you being transparent about it.
Yeah. Well, people that wear suits and fucking have to use deceptive language and word sanitization, why they wouldn't have to do that if they were standing on what's solid.
That's a fair point. I mean, I think you could say our whole kind of culture, the dominant one, is based on that kind of language game, almost. I mean, just going back to what we were talking about earlier, we're not calling things what they are. Highway robbery, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I trust someone who stinks more than someone who wears a suit.
Fair point. Yeah, I think that's a valid test of, I don't know, how much trust to invest in a person or how honorably they're living, I think in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I don't trust people's appearance, especially the image people usually try to present, about the sanctity of life. That's a good one. I'm a patriot, or I'm God-fearing Christian. Like, those are respect-inducing statements. I'm proud to be retarded. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you basically are proud to believe absolutely anything based on no evidence at all. You're allowed to, you're proud to join a fucking stupid gang which dehumanizes almost all of the nationalist religious gangs, political gangs, they all dehumanize the outgroup. Like Srebrenica and that Serbian war, that us versus them shit is always going to be a problem. And it's like, why are you so proud of it? Proud of things that you can't help. I'm proud to be white. I'm proud to be black. I'm proud to take dick. I'm proud of this. It's like you have zero control over those things, so why are you proud of it? Like, major malfunction. And when I say retarded, yeah, like I'm using the exact strict definition of the word. Like, hindering mental and intellectual ability. It's like, stupid makes me angry. It really does. Especially because they group up and they cause so much suffering. And so.
Absolutely. Do you see a lot of that out in Maine?
Oh my God. These backwoods fucking hillbillies. Like, I thought Oklahoma was, super fucking, I'm proud being American. But up here, dude, these people still ride around in trucks with fucking, like, Trump, Biden flags on the back, And then when I stop them and try to, I don't, like, pull them over. It's just like, if we end up stopped somewhere, like at a light or whatever, it's like, try to talk to them about it, it's like they don't have anything valid to say. There's nothing that they can say that rationally defends their garbage. It's fuck you, or they hit the gas real hard, and it's just like this stupid motherfucker. I'm surrounded by it. So yeah, there's a lot of that in Maine. Yeah.
It's stressful. Yeah, I was kind of curious because I grew up in Connecticut. I don't know Maine super well. I know it has kind of a reputation like that, but yeah, and it is just, it's kind of I don't know, it's not like they made a decision to believe in that stuff. It's just some kind of emotional,
they are lost, suffering individuals who want to keep all their little trinkets and baubles, and they think that by identifying as some group that's already established, that aren't I somebody now? Don't y'all love me? You see the flag? I got the flag. Aren't I somebody? It's like, I can't fucking stand them. I really can't.
Yep. And
they're everywhere.
Yeah, it does seem pretty ubiquitous. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma, so I'm out of Tulsa now, and it's considered where you look. But yeah,
this is worse. It's worse up here. Like, the politician and boot worship is out of. But I will say this. They are so socially malleable. They conform to fucking anything. There are people that in my area that brandish the blue stripe flag. Like, they'll fly it next to on a pole. They'll put it on their house. So what I do is I mail them the Book of Death, right? 3 for 3. Their symbolism is gone. 2 of them took their flags down, and the other one painted his mailbox. He covered it up with just the American flag. So,
oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a step in the right direction. Like, I was talking to my pops because I was listening to this lecture by Chomsky on the corporate state complex and how destructive it is, and I was like, man, he has such a wide audience. He has so many people, yet the corporate fucking state industrial construct is still steamrolling, But then it's like, well, some of his stuff has influenced me, so, I guess just keep. The system is relentless and it's steamrolling, it's tyranny and it's oppression, so I have to be just as relentless in my resisting it. So, as hopeless as it may be.
Oh yeah, I've read a lot of Chomsky over the years, watched a lot of his interviews, documentaries, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I just find him kind of hypnotizing when he gets going and talking. I mean, he's just like so good at just shutting people down with his arguments. I mean, it just seems unanswerable a lot of the time, and I'm watching people be that.
Language is everything. I said language is everything. He's a linguistics professor. Control their language, control their reality. But sorry, you said one time what?
Oh, I was just in a car with a few other politically minded folks, and we were talking about how we first got I don't know, kind of radicalized, for lack of a better term. And I think 3 out of the 4 of us, the other guy was older, but we were all like, yeah, it was Chomsky. I mean, just finding him online or something like that. So just to your point about his influence, yeah. Who else has your attention these days in terms of like thinkers or writers? I mean, who else?
Not too many of the the prehistoric ones. Hitchens, Harris, a lot of the, like, Brian Greene, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I listen to people who are intellectual, who are not bound by, like, religious state doctrines, and who try to observe society from not only a third-party perspective, but a compassionate, like, you want it to be better. You don't want people to suck this resource competition garbage, this ganged up tribal warfare shit. Man, sorry, I got mad for a second. I lost my train of thought.
It's an infuriating thing to think about. I mean, I've been, in addition to looking into cases like Varnell's and a few others like him, I've been starting to look more into all the companies that, I live in downtown Tulsa, so we've got, One Oak, Williams here, and just looking into what these companies are doing. I mean, it's no big secret, but nobody really talks about it out here. So I just, One Oak is planning to build, around here, everybody just thinks of them, oh, they're the ballpark, or they do, philanthropy, let's celebrate One Oak. I mean, they're planning to build a massive gas pipeline in West Texas right now. It's a poor community, impoverished community, mostly Hispanic folks who've just been living there for a while, minding their own business.
Oh yeah, why would you ever run it through Brookhaven or one of the one of the Lord's estates?
Exactly. I went down there to visit them, and they just feel like, I mean, they've been treated as like a sludge dump, a nuclear dump over the years, and this is just like the latest thing. And around here, it's just like a press release. I mean, that's the only way the press will cover it. They're just like, oh yeah, they're going to build this pipeline, it'll help increase profits, and that's it. There's social costs, no issue with climate, anything like that. Yeah, so anyway, I hear what you're saying. It's infuriating to get into these resource issues.
Then the powerlessness to do anything about it on an individual level. I mean, it is kind of that not allowing any one person to make great change system-wide. It's good if the person trying to come up is, achieve fucking power status, is, trying to do Stalin, Hitler-esque, type behaviors. And but for people who are genuinely, trying to change things, it's like, sorry about your luck. You gotta, this is the way it is, and this is the way it's gonna steamroll until the end of time. So it's like the only thing you can do is, hey, stop participating. Hey, stop participating. So, like, whenever I'm riding my bicycle and I see somebody mowing, like, there's people on my YouTube, when you're wealthy and you burn up resources for no reason. It's like, well, I don't know why I do this purposeless activity. I don't know. I just gotta get the grass and get the cutting. Waste time, resources, emissions, and then for what? So it can look nice. So much in society is based on image and how things look, and it's trampling everything else in existence. And the powerlessness to stop it is infuriating even more. It augments the fury.
No,
but I still won't bomb people, so I'm probably one of the most rageful people that I've ever met, but I will not kill. And even when I am in a situation, like, I had a fucking hillbilly shoot at me, and, all I had is my Cali sticks. I could have he shot at me. I could have fucking killed him, and I would have been justified. But my purpose is not to hurt, because he's drunk, no excuse, but he's internally, that being is suffering, Otherwise, he wouldn't have come out to the street on the way that he did. That wouldn't have happened. So, I call it menor cantidad de violencia requerida, the least amount of violence required in any given situation. So, no matter how angry I am, I always internalize, and I never take it out on others. So.
so like compassionate about. But what happened in that specific case where the guy was shooting? I mean, what was the kind of lead up to that?
Okay, so there was this redneck who gave his truck a rim job, who blew past me like 3-4 times. You know, for people they assume if you're riding a bike that you have a DUI or you got something, you know, you're second class citizen, whatever. So the unwashed masses, you know. So he's blowing past me in his truck, and then finally he stopped, and I've talked to him about how blue collar workers, like, that blue collar doctrine is garbage. You don't generate resources. You destroy. You can work all day, every day for the rest of your life, and you would not be able to provide what you're doing right now. Every little component in your vehicle, your phone, you know, all of that shit, you couldn't do. So while you're bragging about, well, I go work for NASA, I can burn up all the resources I want to. You know, you're laying a tile floor every day in all these houses doesn't equal car, vehicle, microwave, food, heat. You know, it doesn't. It's just not physically. Yeah. So I explained that to him, and then finally he peeled out. You know, he's like, I go to work so I can have fun, and I'm like, this is fun to you? Driving back, fucking with people? So he peeled out, and then I'm heading home, and there's a guy in his house who overheard it, right? And so he's the one who came out. He shot at me twice. And then I'm like, fucking cry about it. I'm like, you don't like what I say words, so you're going to shoot me? And then he came out firing at the driveway, and I fucking pulled my sticks out. And he's like, do you realize I'm just sitting on my porch trying to have a drink, and you come right just that? And I'm like, yeah, you're firing a gun off because you don't like words. You're a fucking coward. And he's like, I'm just trying to get your attention. I'm like, well, you fucking got it. And then I lit his ass up with my sticks, right? Lit his ass. It's on my YouTube. But the thing is like, once he stopped advancing, once he stopped his behavior, you know, like I knocked the gun out of his hand, like, so his wife came and got it. Once there was no more physical force required, I stopped. That being said, I still could not be a police officer, even though they could learn from that shit. You know. Oh, what? He's shooting and he won with sticks? Oh, he's making us look like cowards. We shoot over cell phones.
Yeah, anything.
Nationalist fucking boot bag boys. That's all they are. They're button men. Fucking bag boys for the state.
Yeah, how do you see that sort of FBI in this context? I mean, in terms of, you know, I was pretty fascinated to hear those recordings on your YouTube page where they were encouraging you to basically
beat the fuck out of Varnell and shit. Yeah, but
exactly. And you have so much more experience with them than the average person. So I mean, you have kind of,
and that's amazing.
Hey, yeah. So that's, I mean, kind of how do you see them playing into this whole system you've been describing? It's kind of like almost like a national police.
It is. They're OVRA NKVD reruns. Like, OVRA is like the precursor to the fucking Nazi Gestapo. Is like Mussolini's little state police fucking thing, and then NKVD was Stalin's equivalent agency. You know, so like, but the FBI is not the only one. The FBI, CIA, all those fucking alphabet agencies are alphabet agency reruns. The tactics of socioeconomic oppression are the same. Like, after World War II, Reinhard Gehlen, we hired him to do anti-fascist fucking shit. Like, and now, even still to this day, his progeny are out and about. Just these Cold War leftovers reheated. Just out here like, oh, socialism, communism is at the back door. All these immigrants, and we gotta stop them, guys. Let's go beg a rich master to do it with police, and we sit back and watch and complain about stuff. That's Maine in a nutshell. Excuse me.
No, fun. I mean, did you feel like I'm not to phrase it exactly, but I mean, these agents you were working with, Martin and Larson, did you feel like they were approaching the whole Varnell case, I don't know, to phrase like in good faith, sort of trying to escalate things? Does that make sense? I mean, how do you think they were sort of approaching the whole case? Like, were they eager to?
Hey, look.
You think that Varnell was a real threat? I guess that's what I'm asking.
The bigger the situation, the bigger profit in control and image for the state. You know, And because I remember I was sitting there and I watched it and I was like, I was watching on TV and I'm like, wait, I was waiting for the bomb to happen, you know, and I'm just like, oh, it happened already. So like what they did is they had this like computer generated fucking, well, this is what it would have looked like at it. It's like, what the fuck? No. So they will absolutely, like at one point he's like, hey, if he doesn't want to blow up stuff, we'll try to get him a gun, you know. So it's like he's been presented as a target, right? So like I was saying earlier, if you call the police on somebody, that is essentially saying, master, please come exploit, beat, or kill this person. Like, you now have system permission to do so, you know. And I did that. You know, I didn't call the police on him. I was just like, hey, I don't want to deal with police. I don't want to deal with this, but this dude's, you know, whatever. This might save lives. You might want to just put a stop to this somehow. So, yeah. And the feds got involved, and then I'm like, you know what? The state has done such dirty shit, you know, like that Judge Napoli getting deputies to delete recordings and, you know, showing that she refusing to recuse herself after being listed as a victim in that phone threat case during the custody battle of my son. How do I say this? I used Varnell just as much as the FBI did. And the way that I used him, I mean, the prodding and poking shit, like that is the fucking Larson and, you know, hey, we gotta get him to do this, but my use of him was to figure out how to get actual evidence of these agencies operating how they operate, you know. So now I used a smaller monster to basically get a bigger monster, if that makes sense, you know.
Yeah, I see. So the kind of Varnell case for you was connected to this longer term kind of political project that you've been outlining. Because I mean, I know you're political. Does that kind of sum it up well? Just in the sense that you've got this. No,
I am apolitical. Like, I hate politics. It's all gossip and drama and fucking identity, like fucking. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But
I should
systemic
like analysis, if that makes sense. Like analyzing like our whole like cultural economic system. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, well, it's similar, I guess, but basically it's to get enough information on how the state functions while under the guise of safety and security, you know, and from start to finish, you know, that whole fucking thing just proved everything that I knew about the state, but I couldn't say, because I always, like, my probation officer, he's like, Brent, I just got a call from the fucking Norman police. He said you called him a Nazi. He's Jewish. He took offense to that. Wah, 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 wah. And I'm like, dude, neither you or he understand history, apparently. You know? And, like, I've been but it's like you call police Nazis, but the general members of the public, you call the police a Nazi, they look at you like you're crazy because, dude, we're not putting people in mass ovens. What the fuck? You know, we're not, because certain things aren't exactly the same. They're not, like, they don't focus on the forced daily labor to fund national wars, you know, executive wars, like the 13th Amendment loophole, you know, using it, license plates, all kinds of shit, to where the state can keep going for global domination with its 800 military bases in other people's homes. And, yeah, so Varnell and all his fucking willingness to destroy lives, you know, did me a fucking favor, I guess, if you could put it that way.
That makes sense to me. I mean, was there anything else through your experience with this case and with the FBI? You said it kind of confirmed what you already knew.
Right.
basically about alphabet agencies. Was there anything else? I mean, in addition to just the conversations you had with Larson and Martin, I mean, what else kind of about that experience just kind of reinforced your beliefs, if that makes sense?
The individuals that were involved, like Martin, he's like, man, you got some really good idea if you could just get away from all this socialist shit. You know, and I'm like, it's exactly correct, because these fucking boots are conditioned with this flag song hand salute shit. Like I said, Cold War leftovers. And if you challenge somebody's ideology, they automatically classify you as the antagonist in their paracosm, right? So if you try to say, yo, Christianity is some like cannibalism, fucking human sacrifice, and zombies and shit, you know, they'll be like, oh, he's a Satan worshiper. You know, they go to the opposite end of the. So it's like, if you challenge being Republican, they label you as a Democrat. If you challenge fucking fascist, then you're an Antifa or whatever the fuck it is. And it's just a constant, like, bubbles and social division in society. And I'm rambling, so feel free to jump in at any time.
It's still making sense to me. And I mean, I think it all kind of connects to your, I don't know, broader critique that you've been articulating. I mean, not just given through your books, but, you know, on social media and through all these different formats. You know, I've visited with the Varnells, and time's been flying away from me, but in a little over a year. You know, obviously they think that, you know, Melanie and all of them think that Drake should be walking free now. Do you have any opinions on that? I mean, do you think that he's enough of a threat?
As do I. Yeah. I think he should be free as well. And the reason for that is that the state has wording for a reason, right? And I sent a screenshot of Varnell's appeal where it's saying excessive government interference. You know, had the government not done what they did, he wouldn't have done that, right? And it's accurate, 100%. Yet the gowned tyrant that got his fucking robe at Party Galaxy and his degree on Microsoft Paint was like, well, this would be detrimental to system control and revenue, so no matter how valid the fucking points are, or merits, or whatever the fuck they call it, they ruled against him anyway. And I don't know, like I say, previously I've said, you know, yeah, like the things that he says, like, yeah, the dude will do it, you know. But at the time, you know, there's no, it's like Minority Report, you know, and it's like Minority Report versus freedom of speech. And because I say some, dude, the things I think about, like, nothing to do with, you know, fucking kids or anything like that, but just about people that abuse their authority and hurt those that are under their dominion, have no escape, no recourse, not like, if you've heard any of my music, like, dude, I do, like, it's cathartic release, and I do some really depraved shit to system enforcers, you know, and so like Brother Lynch Hung, for example, not really a fan, but he talks about doing shit to babies and eating babies and shit like that. It's depraved, right? But at the same time, just because you're speaking about something, you know, if it is a release, doesn't mean that you're gonna do the thing. You know, like a witness in my case, that, like, he called the police on me for being loud. right? No weapons, no threats, no nothing. I was on my property. Well, the boot came out here, right? But then the next morning, the motherfuckers were cutting at like 5 a.m. Woke my family up. So I called that same boot and I'm like, hey, you're enforcing a double standard. You know, because they called you out here for being loud and you got in my cheeks for that. And then now it's 5 a.m. and what I was yelling at them at 1 in the afternoon, like, you're out of line. I went to jail for that, right? Well, that dude, every time he sees me or my family, he still comes up to me. After we've made it clear, leave us the fuck alone, dude. Leave us the fuck alone. Like, so I've said to, like, my probation officer, I'm like, dude, this dude won't stop. He's gonna get his fucking jaw broken. You know, like I'm severely protective over my family, and he'll wait for them if they come up here. He'll wait for me to not be around, and then he'll go fuck with them, right? And I can't go on their property, so it's like I never. But verbalizing something like me saying he's gonna get his fucking jaw broken doesn't mean that I'm gonna go break his fucking jaw. Right? I know that was a long fucking route to say just saying something doesn't mean you're going to fucking do it. But I don't know that Varnell would have done that. Because you never know what's in another man's heart, mind, you know, and in any given situation, if the circumstances are right, many of us would kill. Like, most of us would not do it, something like that for those reasons. But this is a planet. It's a violent, fucking primitive planet for all its fucking beauty, you know. And he is a conditioned product of the system. And so to take his entire life for him being essentially herded into an action that benefits the state in fear and control, he shouldn't lose the rest of his life. And the time that he's been in there, I know what it's like in there. You know what I'm saying? And the time that he's been in there already, if he were to be released, I severely doubt that he would do anything other than retreat somewhere far away from people and keep to himself and his family. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you never know what's in somebody's mind and heart. He could be holding a grudge for how things happened and being set up. So, which I would understand. But at the same time, doing what is morally sound often is rarely without cost to self. You know, so yeah, I really don't think that he would do anything were he released. But by the paperwork that he filed, by the way that things happened, the time that he's done, the experiences that he's had in there, like, I don't think this. I even told Melanie, I'm like, look, like, I'll help you with this filing, because, like, here's these recordings, whatever. You know, it just, but I think she assumed I was, like, playing a game or something. You know, a lot of it had to do with fucking Marna, you know, because I fucking hate spin artists. I hate people who take things that aren't the way they are and make them look like they're not. And she kept doing that, and she kept doing dirty shit, and it put me adversarial, you know, and that hurt him in his case. Because right before trial, I called my attorney and I'm like, look, this is fucked up. They are both fucking wrong. They are both wrong. And it's like, this dude is like willing to kill, you know, let's just say high-end 500 people, you know, for how he thinks the world should be after being given everything he needs to do so, when the state and its enforcers fucking brutalize and kill people daily, instant executions, but then long, slow, factory, fucking cheap, miserable labor existence for others, you know. So it's like, who's the bigger fucking monster, dude? And I don't know. And, I was really going into trial because she's like, whatever happens, you just, you tell the truth. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But you also know that when you tell the truth, there's always things that you can say and that are said without actually, like using true text, true actual words in the form of the sentence. That's true, but it doesn't actually apply. That kind of shit. So, but I really wish she hadn't have put me on an adversarial stance because I might have ended up, helping him.
Yeah, what was some of the stuff? Do you recall, Martin?
No, helping him in trial, like when I was on the stand, not helping him go bomb shit. Make that clear. Like, that's not what I meant when I say help him, but I mean my testimony would not have been as damaging, is what I'm saying. Gotta be careful how I word shit, especially talking about domestic terror. Fuck.
Oh, no, it all makes sense. But yeah, is there anything else you remember kind of about specific points where you feel like Marta was kind of warping things or just setting up this kind of adversarial?
Yeah, like she would say, like there was one time she was like, they played the recording and they're like, you said to Varnell, we got to do something, But I'm like, hold up, you omitted the first part, which is I said I agree with you, which is I said I agree with you. We got to do something about this. But if you say we just got to we got to do something about this, yeah, I said that, but she left out the first part, which makes it look like I'm saying, hey, come on, we got to do this. But even in a way, God, it's just all, like I was saying with language and Chomsky, and it all boils down to language, I don't know. It was a moral mindfuck either way, and partly I chose to just do whatever just got the situation gone as well,
It sounds like it's one I would have wanted to extricate myself from. I think, just having it drag on the way it did. I know that, I don't want to make it seem as if you were, a person controlling the situation or had like a lot of power. Obviously, the FBI, the courts are involved and all that. But is there anything you would do differently looking back? I don't really engage in this kind of exercise myself too much because, what's done is done. I'm not sure if this is something that you reflect on at all, though.
It is, dude. It is. You saw I wrote a whole thing about every day I try to write some, attacking some social issue in society that people just complain about, a virtue signal, or they're not aware of, and that's definitely one of them. And if I could go back, what I would have done, I want to say I'd be like, no, Varnell, you can't do this. But what I would have done is just so that because what they would have done had I done that is they would have turned around and charged me with some kind of obstruction and shit like that. So I probably would have just, slid them some kind of note or some kind of communication or something. It's like, hey, feds are on your cheeks. You know what I'm saying? Just act like you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Call me crazy, call me lunatic, whatever you feel, so you're not interested in doing shit. But then again, I wouldn't have gotten the information that I did. I wouldn't have gotten those recordings, saying, hey, how about this? How about when after he pushes the button, before we take him down, you just go in there and beat the fuck out of him, shit like that. I wouldn't have gotten those. And to me, those are severely important, but sort of like they do experiments on rats. They want to see how long a fracture takes to heal, so they break its leg and fucking kill it, to get a fact. Is the fucking fact that they got worth the cost to the individual? And it's not you're not breaking his leg and killing it, but it's like everything he's had to go through. Was it worth getting those few things that I got? And I don't fucking smart dude, I guess. I don't fucking know, dude.
That's it. That's a pretty, I don't know, it's taking a hard look at yourself in a way that I think most people aren't willing to do. So I mean that's admirable in my opinion, whatever it's worth.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. Introspection is one of the greatest tools people can wield, if they learn how to utilize it. But look, facing horrible shit about yourself is frightening, But once you just realize, it's like we all fart, eat shit, come, bleed, fucking snore, sleep. We all hurt each other. We hurt ourselves like we do. Like, and you understand that, it becomes a little bit easier to accept the worst things about yourself, But I don't know. I have to be able to look myself in the mirror,
I think that's important. I think a lot of people avoid that for a very long time. Can you talk about how your own, if you're open to it, prison experiences have kind of informed your understanding of the U.S. as an authoritarian state? I mean, anything you'd like to share about that? Because that's a very, that just seems like one of the most obvious counter arguments.
Why, yes.
Yeah. So anything you'd like to say about that? Yeah.
Why, yes, I would.
Yeah, thank you.
My major case was in 2010 after Judge Napoli did her fucking garbage. I threatened the police. I was like, if you keep coming out here fucking with me, I'm gonna throw a grenade in the precinct. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, first of all, I've never even held a grenade. I don't have anywhere to get a grenade, but they're fucking boots. They don't fucking know that, and I'm just mad venting. But either way, so what they did was, like, this is when I first got hip to their tactics of wording to fuck people. They evacuated buildings that had nothing to do with the with the police. And they said, okay, so if we evacuate all of this, then we can say that's substantial disruption. And we can give a 4-point enhancement. And it's such a absurd concept in itself, but when there's so many little things like that all over, it's like, what are there, 90,000 laws or rules, regs in the past 20 years or something? And it's like, it's literally getting to the point where if you do anything other than a hot dog or fucking this, then you're breaking a law, And now, granted, that I threaten them, and any fucking organization that fear is their social currency, they're gonna snatch that up in a heartbeat, and utilize that, sort of how both I and the feds did Varnell, use them for their own reasons. But when I went to prison, I had problems because I am not it's very racially primitive, and I am not going to be a Nazi. I am not going to be a fucking, like, I'm not going to be a part of any gang that jumps in with other gangs, etc., etc. So, like, okay, well, you could just be an independent white guy. But then here's the thing. Oh, you're independent. You're independent. Independent is now a gang, and it's just it's group shit. And groups and gangs are for the fearful. People that can't stand or think alone. It's strength in numbers. That's all it is. Even people in gangs sometimes crave power, but even people that crave power, often that stems from fear of not having something or others having something else or whatever. So I got fucking kited off the compound. They said I was gonna start a fucking race war. Then let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's the usual shit. You know, everybody, when you first get there, you gotta help fucking put in work. Which I fucking... I ended up in solitary when I got kited off the compound with the dude that I had to fuck up. You know, and he was in the cell next door, and his name's Rick, and I don't know how many times I fucking no apologies would work, though. I fucking hurt that man. And I hurt that man because I had just gotten there. You know what, there's no excuse. I chose myself over him, which is cowardly. It's, he's just sitting there minding his own fucking business, and here's these other people that have some financial motivation, so they want him out of the way, you know, and they're like, okay, you're the new guy, it's your turn, you know, and of course I don't want anybody to fuck with me. And normally I was thinking, oh, you go in there, you find the biggest dude, you fuck him up, you know, but I didn't have to even do that, you know. They just like, we want this guy out of the way and it's your turn, you know. So, I mean, we played chess together, you know, calling out the squares and all that, but it's still something that I feel like, I feel more horrible about that than I do Varnell. I'll tell you that, you know.
This is a lot. What stands out to you about your time in solitary? And how long were you in solitary?
6 months, 3 months apiece. It'll either fucking break you or make you. A lot of people get in there and then they're like, they turn into these fucking Bible tard fanatics and shit. And it's fear, it's loss, it's like, it's emotional and intellectual, not intellectual, it's emotional and mental suffering being in solitary. And people cope in different ways, and religion is a common one. But I just played chess, listened to the fucking radio, read books, and did my best to be angry at the system so that I didn't just take a sheet and fucking noose myself, you know. And that's before all the Varnell business.
Right. What do you remember reading in prison?
Huh?
Oh, what do you remember reading when you were in solitary? Were there any books that you found helpful or?
Oh, dude, it's only James Patterson shit or religious shit. It's like it's the crime thriller novels, romance novels, or religious garbage. You know? And it's just like in hotels with the fucking Gideons are like, Bible? You can have a Bible. Because it's mental chains. Freedom of religion. Oh, we're so free. You freedom to choose the color of your mental chains? Like, what the fuck? I don't hate religious people. I don't hate nationalist people. Because that's the same thing as identifying as an entire group, is blanketing and hating an entire group. But religion, nationalism, things of that us versus them, social divisive garbage, I loathe it with everything in me. Like, yeah. Strength in numbers behind irrational symbolism, Native American genocide and all that. Yeah, it's really something to be proud of. What the fuck? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that for now, I mean, those are pretty much, you know, we've covered all the issues, you know, that I was hoping to bring up. But I mean, what else haven't we talked about that you wanted to mention? Is there anything else?
I don't know.
And I mean, I'd be happy to talk again too. This doesn't have to be, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with. But I'm sure as I listen back, I'll have more questions. I've been working more on another case, not Drake's at the moment. But, you know, as I get back into that, some more stuff might come up. But yeah, was there anything we haven't brought up or anything that you're...
Yeah, there is.
Talk about?
Yeah.
No questions for anything, yeah.
There is something that I do want to say. I'm not on, like, narcissist time. I'm not on delusional time. I'm not on egocentric. I don't think the world revolves around me. I don't believe in this, you know, crystals and fucking bags of bones and hexes and shit, right? But in the past fucking 10 years, it's just people like Varnell, people that do socially dirty shit, people that like malicious things to hurt others, just or exploit them, and it's just back to back to back to back to back wherever I'm at, and I never start them. Or like I'll go out in traffic, I can't go to the store without some fucking hillbilly, you know, doing some juvenile shit, and it's constant, and I don't start them. That's what I want to say, is that there are situations that happen, but I don't start them, and I do my best to navigate through them, you know, morally and ethically with the best options, you know, and circumstances that I have presented, you know. Like I said, in some situations I have chosen the cowardly route, like when I fucking went in there and beat up Rick, you know, shit like that. Still, even though, you know, I don't even know, they could have forged the paperwork and said he's a, you know, child predator or whatever, but I wasn't there. I don't know, and I fucking hurt another being, you know. So I no matter who is out there trying to present me as a fucking monster or whatever, because either my anger or things that other people have written or said, everybody that is around me on a daily basis can prove that false. Like, I am not a fucking monster, dude. I have no issue standing my ground against them, but I'm not a fucking predator. I'm not out here trying to hurt people. I'm just...
And I actually, that reminds me, actually, there was something that I think Melanie might have sent me these documents, and I'm bringing this up just to get your perspective on it, or to get your take, because it relates to what you were just saying. So there was she sent me some, and you know, the only documents I've got right now are from the cops, basically. It was from March 2016. There was a series of events involving, I might be mispronouncing their names, Brittany Reese, Holly Moore.
Yep.
And there were kind of allegation, you know, that you were stalking them or harassing them.
Yep.
What do you want to say about that?
My son's mother teamed up with them, and if you look, the protective order filings are the same. They're identical. He threatened me, just, you know, nothing where it's like, you know, nothing sexual, nothing to do with kids. It's just like they're trying. My son's mother has been making a play for custody for years and doing the parental alienation shit. There's recordings where it shows, like, with my son, where she's like, hey, Malachi, somebody went in the neighbor's house. Or no, she said, Brent, your dad went into the neighbor's house, said, where's Malachi? Had his hat down and then left. You know, and this is while I'm up here on bail with a curfew. You know, shit like that. It's just, so she teams up with people, and it even worked with my parents for a time, until finally I was in bed, and she called them and told them that at that exact time I was out there outside her house, you know, but my mom just went in the next room, and there I am just fucking sleeping and shit, you know. So that was the first time when even my parents were like, oh damn, you know, because my anger makes, or my abrasive tone sometimes makes things people say about me believable, you know. And so anyway, they started to see that it was garbage, and then after there are screenshots in my book, Internet Blackout Self-Defense, of this. But even Holly Moore was starting to see what my son's mother was doing, Christina Marty. And they're just like, hey, let's make up this story. We can get him back, whatever. And what started it was Holly Moore told me when we first got together, oh God, this is like Jerry fucking Springer that her husband died 2 years ago, but he had died like a few weeks before we had gotten together. She didn't want to feel like a whore, I guess, or like she didn't give a fuck about the dude. But either way, it's all like everything is built on fucking lies. And whenever it fell apart, it was like, oh, okay, now I'm in my feelings, so I'm going to team up with her and try to use the system to get back at you, whatever. I didn't do anything that they said. It's easily believable because, like, if somebody tries to fucking fight me I'll give them a chance, but I stand my ground and I don't. It's believable, is what I'm saying, but it's not true.
I appreciate that. And actually, one other, again, it's just connected to all of kind of what you were saying about the way you're perceived, and most people are not willing to stand their ground, which I think probably makes people uncomfortable.
Call the boots. Oh, you must call the boots to solve all your social issues so that the state can profit from it in image and revenue. Yeah, like that dude that shot at me. I didn't call the police on him.
Right. Right, which would have been everybody's first reaction without thinking anything.
But yeah,
kind of what you've been talking about. But another thing I read about, I might be mispronouncing it, Brevard County, Florida, when you were down there for the whole Michael Emery thing. What would you like to say about that?
Oh, that's a fucking crazy one. Okay, so he is not the child predator, the Michael Vincent Emery that's on the child sex offender registry. But he is a fucking child predator. Like, the recordings are there, like, he's just like, he's mad that he's like, they only made this rule against fucking kids, like, in the past fucking 300 years, it's just a drop in the bucket in the time of man or some shit, like, just really trying to, like, he's mad that he can't legally go fuck kids. Anyway, so after I found that out, I stopped. I worked for him. I did work for him on his boat. But after I found that shit out and recorded it, I quit. And then he wouldn't give me my last 2 weeks check. And I gave the recordings to before I said that, I gave the recordings to fucking people, Nick Nack and all that, about his fucking, depravity, for lack of a stronger word. And so what he did is because I asked him for my last check and demanded it, he filed extortion. He filed an extortion charge. Like, they didn't arrest me or anything. They just had me show up. And then, how did that, let's see, timeline event. Right, so whenever I had to testify for the Varnell shit, I was not released by the U.S. Marshals. I was transported by a company called U.S. Corrections, which is, for lowball dollars, they take living beings and pack them in a sardine can that's hunched over like that and take them on 5-7 day trips and pump them full of fucking fast food 3 times a day. Like, that's... So then I went to Florida, bailed out on that, and they're like, okay, well, we'll call it interception of communication, and just don't come back to Florida for a year. I'm like, alright. Alright. But, because Florida is like, Maine is bad, but Florida is like, or Maine is like Florida's leftovers, if that makes sense. It's like a lot of the same people. Oh, it's starting to get cold. Can only have it all nice, all luxury. But yeah, so things are constantly misrepresented, Oh, because when you read extortion, it's like I'm going in there like, yo, if you don't pay me, shop owner, I'm going to break your fucking knees, But it's not. It's like, I just wanted my last 2 weeks check, but I'm also at the same time outing a fucking disgusting motherfucker. But before I demanded it, I outed him. And I took it to everybody in the community, all the people in the marina, you know. And even the fucking marina owner, he's like, oh, it's just locker room talk. I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. It's like fucking sick. So yeah, they I don't know what the angle is. You know, it's like they're. If the angle that Melanie is trying to present is like they're just letting me off on bullshit, you know, or they're letting me go, you know, that's not the case, you know.
Yeah, I think the angle might have been, you know, she's like, this is the guy the FBI worked with and to railroad my son into prison, basically. It's something along those lines. I mean, I haven't talked to her.
That's true. That is true. But the things that she's trying to make about, like, the things she's trying to present about me, like, about my life, or things that have nothing to do with that situation, the majority of it is false. And, like, she's taking things that, alright, the feds, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, like, they all lie, except for when it comes to Brent Ellison's, because they said bad things about him and I can use those against him, you know. So it's like, fuck the state unless they say something that can help me against somebody I don't like, you know.
Right. Yeah,
so when you talk to her, tell her, you know, that is true. I am the person that the feds use to help railroad him into prison. But stop using garbage and bullshit to make that presentation, you know. And if you'll do it fucking fairly and accurately, I'll fucking help you. What the fuck? So that's why I said to you, the best way that you can thank me is to not misrepresent me. You know? How's that?
I appreciate that. That does seem like, for now, that seems like the least I can do. I appreciate your being just super transparent throughout the past hour plus. You know, you've helped me a lot. I mean, I'll go back and I'll be listening to this and get back into Trig's case pretty soon. Would you be willing to, I mean, I know you're sitting on a lot of recordings, and I've seen a couple of them on YouTube. Are you open to sharing any more of those with me? Or do you want to talk more before you do that? I mean, is there anything?
I can, I'll look through them. I'll look through them.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you're comfortable sharing, and no rush. I mean, this is an ongoing project. I do it in my spare time.
Yeah, well, it is a rush for me because I have trial coming up for resisting the militant system enforcers extorting people in traffic.
And when is that coming up again?
June 20th is a hearing for the Blitz docket, and I don't know if how that's going to go, but then jury selection is July 6th and 7th. You know?
Okay, yes, it is kind of coming up pretty soon. Yeah. But again, I mean, that actually, when you mentioned that sort of misrepresentation issue, that brought up I think those two cases, you know, the one with, you know, Brittany and everything in Norman, and then the Florida one. I think those are the only two other pieces that I kind of forgotten about, but otherwise that pretty much covers everything. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, not just related to Varnell, could be anything, stuff you're working on right now.
Not on self-promotion time, like, look at me, but like for people who either read or hear about, you know, like the things we've talked about, my criminal history, that Internet Blackout Self-Defense book is the best way that I really could put video, audio, and evidence into text form. You know, like I put the audio transcripts from fucking Martin, and, you know, like, I got the bird in the talons and we're gonna get him with national assembly, the serpent's gonna die, da, 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 da. That shit. So it's easily refutable if you take the time.
Yeah, well, I appreciate making that all available. I mean, you know, as someone who likes to write, I know that must have taken a lot of time to put together, not just one book, but, you know, that one, and then also the Book of Death. Those are big projects. And I really admire, I was looking at the Book of Death just before I got on this call, and I admire how you go back to, you know, the earliest parts of U.S. history. I don't think a lot of people are willing to look at that whole continuity. They see current problems as, I don't know, in a superficial way, like it's a recent development that's kind of easy to stamp out through some reforms, through some legislative tweaks and that kind of thing. And I don't know, I wonder why it just seems like a waste of time to even engage with that kind of line of thinking.
Yeah. It's colonial doctrine, you know, Forget about all the bad stuff and Colonel Chivington and that fucking Sandy Creek massacre and all that. No, forget about that. The dehumanization, the xenophobia, the slaughters, all that. Nah, just wave your flag and sing your song and go about your day. Go clock in.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough society. I don't want beings to suffer, and that's the majority of my actions throughout the day. Is whatever I do, I try to cause the least amount of suffer. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can look through. Go ahead.
That's more than most people can say they do or even try to do.
Yeah, I'm definitely not excusing the dumb motherfuckers, but they're conditioned to be that way because rational, logical people don't go buy unnecessary shit they don't need, especially for holidays, wealth boosts, economy shit. Like, they just don't do that. But irrational people, they're controllable, they obey, they buy shit, Anyway, I digress.
I think it was somebody like Daniel Defoe or something, some writer like a few hundred years ago, when consumerism was taken off, in his journal or something like that, he was like, what the fuck are these people doing? Like, they're using their spare time to go buy shit that they don't need. It's like, and it's just, it's nowadays it's just considered an acceptable way to behave, or you're doing it wrong if you're not buying stuff, or if you're bored, you just go shop. Yeah, it's
playing dress up, not wearing a costume of some sort.
Right, and it's just this kind of transitory historical phase we're in that's treated as, the water we all have to swim in, otherwise we just can't function. Yeah, anyway, I hear what you're saying. I think it's closely related to what we've been talking about.
Well,
this connection needs to be made, yeah.
Well, I do appreciate you making it today so that, in the mornings I can be available, so...
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any good plans for the rest of the day? Anything you're looking forward to, or?
Yeah, I was supposed to be at there's a place I help at, and I volunteer at, and gotta go. I'm usually there at 8, but today they didn't have a van today, so I don't have to be there till like 9:30. I'll probably go there. Not probably. Yeah. I am going there right after this.
What kind of place is it, if you don't mind my asking? Like, what kind of services do they provide, or what kind
of community outreach stuff, people, hygiene, food, water, dog food, cat food, things of that.
That's important work. Yeah, that's important work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hack, right? That's
right.
But that's negative labor. It's not actually doing anything. Really, it's not very beneficial, for the society, except to protect corporate interests. So I have to, I'm not just going to sit on my cheeks all day, and have concern for self, I guess.
Yeah, I respect that. Yeah, well, I need to get going too. I mean, it's almost time for me to go clock in, do the day job. But I really appreciate you taking the time.
I don't envy you.
What's that?
I don't envy you.
Yeah, no, I don't think most people would. But again, I don't know. If anything else occurs to you, feel free to follow up. Open line of communication. Keep me posted about your trial if you're willing, or I'll follow you on social media. But yeah, I'm grateful for you taking the time and for all the work you've done with your writing and just being honest over the last hour and a half, and putting off your your volunteer work for this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I checked with them first. Not a big deal. Yeah, have a good day, man. Just let me know what you need.
You too, Brent. I'll follow up with you, and take care until we talk again.
All right. Later, man.
All right.